Hello and welcome back to That's Football. This is your daily interactive transfer rumour roundup where you guys get involved and have your say on all the latest transfer rumour and gossip. But how are you all doing? As per usual, I hope you are doing very, very well. I'm usually well for these shows, but for some reason, I didn't sleep last night. My sleep pattern's been all messed up, and for some reason, my brain just thought, you know what, you're not sleeping. So I've had about 2 hours, I'm running on about 2 hours sleep. I do apologise if I'm slightly less enthusiastic today than usual, or if I stumble over my words. I'm tired, alright? But I hope everyone is doing well. As per usual, this is the interactive show. So all the gossip and rumours I relay to you, I want to know all your opinions about them. Get in the comments. I've got your comments here, nice and large as per usual, so I can really read them out and get talking to you guys. But we've got Savic, Gelson, Martins and Kante today to talk about. It's a bit of a slow news day, I'm not going to lie. It is only 3 days until the World Cup, so all the significant players, you're not going to get many rumours about them because they're at the World Cup. So those sorts of deals will happen after the World Cup finishes. And if you're not a significant player, then no one really cares. No one really cares. Obviously, there are a few players who aren't going to go to the World Cup who people do care about, but you get the point. But anyway, let's start with Milinkovic-Savic, the Serbian midfielder playing for Lazio at the moment, the hottest property, I'd say, in football at the moment. Smashed it for Lazio last season, and apparently, or reportedly, Real Madrid are preparing a £132 million bid for the player. Now, I mean, we all know that Milinkovic-Savic came out the other day and said that he will only decide his future after the World Cup. His mind might be made, but he might just announce it after the World Cup. So speculation will continue. We won't know until sort of end July, really, where he's going to go. But apparently, like I said, Real Madrid are preparing a £132 million bid for the player. In my opinion, I mean, get involved. What do you guys think? I was watching a highlights reel of him yesterday, and I know it's only a highlights reel, and you can't judge a player off sort of cut up clips and highlights, but it was a highlights package of one game, and it went on for like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and it was just unbelievable. The quality on that player is there for everyone to see. He's good defensively in making tackles. Going forward, I was going to say something rude there. Absolutely brilliant. His close control and his passing range and everything. He's an all-round fantastic player. And like I said, he's the hottest prospect on the market at the moment. And so he will be going for, like I said, 100+ million. Now, where do I personally think he'll end up? As I agree with Faizan, he says, I can't see Savic coming to United, and I'll give you that reason now. I think, look, he has been linked to Manchester United, of course, Savic. But for me, look, I'm going to go on the presumption that Pogba will be at Manchester United next season and fit and ready to play and starting each game. Because if he's not there, then we're all screwed, because he's one heck of a player, Pogba. And if you can sort of implement some consistency into his game, you've got one of the best midfielders in the world. So let's work on the presumption that Pogba, nothing will change with the situation, and he'll be there starting the season for Manchester United in the starting 11, right? So you've got Pogba as that sort of attacking midfielder in the midfield three. Now we've just brought in Fred, or it's been announced, but it's not really been announced. They've got the official announcement coming out in a couple of days' time, apparently. But United have signed Fred, okay, the Brazilian midfielder. Now, he's going to sort of come in to defend and go forward a little bit and hustle and bustle. Sort of an Ander Herrera replacement, if you will. He's that sort of player. Fred can get forward, but he is quite defensive as well and help out with a defensive midfielder. So you've got Fred and Pogba, and then alongside that in the midfield three, you've got your out-and-out central defensive midfielder, who for me will be Matic next season. I haven't got any reason to believe otherwise. Good player for us last season, very, very consistent, very, very solid. I know he's a bit slow, but regardless, he's a good player nonetheless. He's defensively solid, and Mourinho seems to like him. So now you've got Fred, Pogba and Matic in your midfield three. I don't know where Milinkovic-Savic comes into that midfield unless Fred is going to play on the bench. And it'd be a very weird signing for me to sign a young sort of prospect, 50, 60 mil, Fred, and just put him on the bench next season. That doesn't make sense to me. Savic, I don't believe, will come in for Matic. He's not that out-and-out defender. He is very good going forward as well, although he is sort of a general midfielder, slightly sort of balanced rather than going forward. But that's what Fred's there for. We want an out-and-out defensive midfielder in Matic. So I don't know where Milinkovic-Savic comes into that. I don't know where he comes into it. I mean, he's got the ability to. But, I don't get it. George Carr says you can have 3 box-to-box players. I don't like that. George Carl, I disagree, mate. I like the... So I presume we're going to be playing a midfield 3 next season because that gets the best out of Pogba. I don't think you can play Pogba in a midfield 2. So let's go off the presumption that United are going to play a midfield 3. I don't think you can have 3 box-to-box midfielders because if 1 goes forward and 2 sit back, those 2, Pogba's not good enough defensively to sort of cover that area. I'd rather have that nice sort of mix of Pogba going forward, Fred busy and about going forward and coming back a little bit, being that more box-to-box, and having Matic as your proper central defensive midfielder to sit there and clear up the mess. I don't want 3 box-to-box midfielders, so I don't understand where Milinkovic-Savic comes into that, although I'd love him to. I would absolutely love Savic to come into that because I do believe he's got the quality to. Hence why I've seen him linked to sides like Real Madrid because he is a player of the top quality. So yeah, Real Madrid preparing a £132 million bid for Milinkovic-Savic. I think he'll end up there. I do think he'll end up there. I just think, Marcelo, Toni Kroos, Modric and Casemiro, look, even though that's one of the best midfield 3s in the world, it is getting on slightly with Kroos and Modric. So, I mean, Real Madrid haven't signed a Galactico in a little while. Milinkovic-Savic could easily be that Galactico, implement some youth and some energy in that midfield and revitalise it, and also get the fans off their seat, which they've had 3 Champions League finals and wins in a row, but sort of the Real Madrid fans need their Galactico, and they haven't had that in a little while. And I think Savic could bring that. But what do you guys think about that in the comments? Let me know. I've got your comments here as per usual, so let's get straight into it. Jared says, Sander, United are going to play a diamond with Pogba at the top of it. So what would that be, a 4-1-2-1-2? I don't know how you do that, though, because Sanchez, I reckon, will play on the left. I don't agree. I think we'll play a 4-3-3. I do. Shlomo says, Sander, why are United looking for midfielders? They need another striker and need to strengthen their defence. I don't think we need a striker. I think I agree with you. We need defensive players. Our defence isn't good enough. Valencia, Smalling, Jones and Young. How Mourinho got second place of that, I don't know. So hopefully we'll bring in Alderweireld, maybe Alexandro, and then we'll take it from there. Eric Bailly as Alderweireld centre-back partnership, and then Dalot as a right-back. I'll be happy with that. But yeah, like you say, we do need to strengthen our defence. Jared, I don't think we'll play a 4-person midfield. I don't agree with that because in that case you'd have to play a 4-1-2-1-2, where you have obviously your back 4, and then your defensive midfielder, your 2 sort of box-to-box midfielders, and then your sort of number 10, if you will, your sort of Pogba type of player. But then you play 2 strikers. I don't think we'll go up top with 2 players and not have any wingers. I think Mourinho likes to... He's never done that before at United, so why would he start doing it now? Retro City says, City got a plan B if Jorginho deal doesn't happen. Jean-Michel Seri of Nice. And it so happens Patrick Vieira is Nice manager. Yep, I reported that yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, that the Jorginho deal for Manchester City might be falling through due to, differencing into sort of what City are willing to pay and what Napoli want for Jorginho. But, Nice could be off to Manchester. We'll have to wait and see. Casemiro is an absolute baller of a CDM. He is indeed. This is why I think Milinkovic-Savic wouldn't place Casemiro. It'd be either Modric or Kroos. Sander, what about Verratti? I don't know who. I don't want him at United. Aaron Lafontes, we need depth. If one gets injured, we will be in the same situation as last season when Pogba got injured. All right, that's fair enough, but it's clear Mourinho likes McTominay, okay? So if Mourinho likes McTominay, then you've got, let's say Pogba gets injured, you push Fred on, who can go forward, and McTominay, you sort of sit in with Matic. I know what you mean, I just don't understand. Let's say you play Pogba, Fred and Matic, and then you bring in Milinkovic-Savic. You're not going to start Milinkovic-Savic on the bench because you just bought him for 130 mil. Then you'd have to start Fred on the bench, which I don't see us doing. So I understand what you mean in the fact that we need depth, but I don't know. I don't see either Fred or Savic starting on the bench and one starting. I don't see that happening. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Rom needs someone to push him into in the comfort zone at the moment. When he doesn't play, we look trophyless. I'd get another top striker, not a B-Tech. Well, I mean, if you want not a B-Tech, then you're in for a little bit of a shock because apparently Mourinho wants Arnautovic, doesn't he? But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from Milinkovic-Savic. Now, a man that you can see in the middle bottom of your screen, Gelson Martins, the 23-year-old right winger currently playing for Sporting Lisbon. Rumours that he is going to be moving to Arsenal. Now, Arsenal previously had made 2 bids for around the price of 30 mil, 35 mil. But about a month ago, it's actually a mad situation. Sporting Lisbon had fans attack the training ground. Now, at this point, it's, I've got it here actually, it's William Carvalho, who is it? William Carvalho, Gelson Martins and Bruno Fernandes. William Carvalho, Bruno Fernandes and Gelson Martins are actually taking Sporting Lisbon to court because they have requested for their contracts to be terminated due to the attack on the training ground. So it's a weird situation. Sporting Lisbon had, refused to sell Gelson Martins to Arsenal for 30 mil because he does have a release clause of 60 mil, so they wanted that sort of price range, 50, 60 mil. But it might be going for free now because if it goes to the court and if the court back the players and give the players, allow the players to terminate their contracts, then it'll be off for Arsenal for free. So very, very, very weird situation. A bit about Gelson Martins. Like I said, he's a right winger. He's actually right-footed, Gelson Martins, which is interesting, I think, because we see a lot of wingers in the modern day play on. So say if you're a right winger, a lot of modern day wingers will be left-footed. A lot of modern day right wingers will be left-footed, and then a lot of modern day left wingers will be right-footed. So they can sort of cut in and put a ball in or take a shot. Gelson Martins isn't that. Gelson Martins is a right winger who is right-footed, so can get it down the byline and put a proper ball into the box, which is very rare in modern day football, but interesting nonetheless. A little bit about his stats: 51 games this season, 13 goals and 13 assists. So decent stats there, isn't it? He can not only score, but he can create as well. Like I said, 23 years of age, so still got a lot of time to develop. Very, very interesting situation, like I said. Evening all, please share the video and help Sana get past 300 live viewers for once. Oi, Mark, leave it. I had 300 live viewers yesterday. It quickly got dropped down to 250, but I did have it at one point, so it's a slow news day, Mark, but they're all waiting for the World Cup watch-alongs. You know that as well as I do. They're just doing it to make you feel a bit better. They're not. They just... Yeah, anyway. Anyway, moving on. 60 mil is a bit much for him. Like I said, Arsenal offered 30 mil for Martins, but could now be off for free if the court decides and give him the ability to terminate his contract. Arpit says Gelson Martins also loves to cut in. Yep, true, but he like I said, he is right-footer. He is a right-footer. We all complain about Pogba defensively, okay? So put him higher up the pitch, away from the defensive duty. No relevance to Gelson Martins whatsoever, but I agree with you. Sander will get his consistency, I'm sure, Mark. No worries. It's a slow news day, like I said, Dean. Look, at times we have 300 viewers on these streams, so I've had no sleep. All right, so lay off me. Play him out on the left. That's all you have to do. Arsenal needs some winger ASAP. That's a good point, Lemire. That's a very, very good point. I mean, Arsenal at least are looking in the right positions. We've got more news on Arsenal to talk about just after this, sort of Gelson Martins news, but they are looking in the right areas. They are looking at defensive positions in Socrates, of course, but also Arsenal lack a lot of natural width, don't they? You know, they've got a lot of central attacking players like Ozil, like Wilshere, like Aubameyang, like Lacazette. You know, they don't have a lot of natural width who are going to hug the touchline and put a ball into the box. And Gelson Martins would bring that. So if you're an Arsenal fan, at least you should be happy that you're looking in the right sort of areas. But actually, I think Gelson is the Klopp sort of player. That's from Pedro. And Martins to Arsenal. Yeah, indeed. Anyway, moving on from Martins, staying on Arsenal though. Like I said, they are in for Socrates. Apparently, he's done his medical. Apparently, he's been around the training ground. Or this is according to Arsenal Fan TV at least. And apparently, the deal is going to happen in the next few days. 29 years of age and currently playing for Borussia Dortmund. Greece international. Very, very experienced player. Very, very, very decent. Like I said, Arsenal, you're looking in the right areas. You know, you shouldn't be worried in that sense. You know, you've had so many years now that you've needed to strengthen your defence, and at least Unai Emery now looks like he's going to do that. Socrates coming in, experienced player, a leader, definitely a good signing, I think, when it does happen. I think it's a matter of when, not if at this point. But that's not the player I really wanted to talk about today. The player I actually wanted to talk about was Kaglar Soyuncu from Freiburg, 21 years of age. Now, earlier on in the transfer window, we had reported that Arsenal had sort of been put off by Freiburg's, I think it was like 35, 40 million asking price for Soyuncu, but clearly not. Clearly, they're in for him, and Socrates. I thought it'd be one or the other, but clearly not. Clearly, like I said, Socrates and Soyuncu will probably be Arsenal's centre-back partnership for next season, which is a good decision. I think it's a good decision. I think Arsenal, Mustafi and Koscielny's got a terrible injury. Mustafi, I don't rate him at all. Rob Holding, still so young, and his his potential and his development is still to be seen. So Soyuncu and Socrates would be a good signings for Arsenal. I think get some proper steel into that defence, and yeah, not only have you got. I think it works well, that, doesn't it? Because you're bringing in Socrates at 29 years of age, where, he's a leader, he's going to sort of like hoist up the other players and things like that. And then Soyuncu, who's 22, has still got to learn his trade, can learn off Socrates. So I think it's quite a nice little dynamic you could see at Arsenal in the centre-back positions next season. Yeah, I mean, what was Jared saying? He said, that's what threw me off when I was just speaking then. He said, really fishing now, Sander, Soyuncu. No, we've reported him earlier on this season, to be fair, Soyuncu. I've never seen him play. I'd never really heard of him before his links to Arsenal, but it is common knowledge. I'm not sort of proper digging that out. That is definitely information that we had reported earlier on in the season, and it is common knowledge that Arsenal are interested in the player. So, yeah, staying on Arsenal, though, the final bit of Arsenal news, Juventus apparently in for Wilshere, 26 years of age, of course, attacking midfielder, sort of a creative player, riddled with injuries throughout his career, broke on the scene, it was at 16 against Barcelona that game, absolutely tore it apart. But his career hasn't gone the way that many thought it would, riddled with injuries, like I said, could never stay fit for a sustained period of time. He's been on loan at Bournemouth and come back. Didn't make the England squad, to his sort of injustice, he believes, as we saw him post about on Twitter, but didn't make the England squad. Apparently he's mulling over a new contract. He has been offered it. Arsenal do want to keep him there, but if Juventus are coming calling, it's difficult to reject that sort of offer, isn't it? I do believe Wilshere loves Arsenal, and if he could, would stay at Arsenal, but I'm sure he wouldn't want to sit on the bench if Unai Emery is going to bring in other players. And if you've got the opportunity to go abroad and play for Juventus and do well in the Champions League, which Juventus always do, it's definitely an opportunity that is difficult to turn down. So Juventus in for Wilshere. It's a weird deal. I wouldn't put those two together. But I think it would be definitely one that could happen. Moving on from that. Not too many stories to cover today. Like I said, a fairly slow news day. We've only got 194 of you watching, which of course isn't 300, is it? But thanks everyone that is watching at the moment. We're on 32,874 subscribers. So if you haven't already, then do get subscribing. We're trying to hit well, we're trying to hit 50k by the end of the summer, which is difficult, but we've got so much World Cup content coming up that with the amount of videos we're putting out there, we really should be getting a lot more of you involved. So, like I said, if you haven't already, then do hit that subscribe button. We really want to get as many of you involved so we can get more opinions in the comments, which is what this channel is all about, really, isn't it? The more of you that get involved and subscribe, the more opinions we get involved, which creates more debate, which is always good. So, if you haven't already, then do get subscribing. But the final few stories of the day, we've got that man there, N'Golo Kante. Apparently, his agent has met with PSG's sporting director. Fantastic player, Kante, isn't he? I think he won PFA Player of the Year the year that Chelsea won it. It was fundamental to Leicester's title-winning season, wasn't he? I know Riyad Mahrez and Jamie Vardy were at the top of were sort of the main men, scoring men, the creative players, but N'Golo Kante is so underrated. Won the league with Leicester, fundamental to that side, like I said. Then moved to Chelsea and won the league again. Once again, performed fantastically for Chelsea. But this season he has dropped off a bit, along with Chelsea's form in general, like I say. So PSG, he's played in Ligue 1 before. He smashed it. He didn't even smash it that much, to be fair. But it suits him. He knows it. He's French himself. 27 years of age. A final big pay rise. So I reckon it's a deal that definitely could happen. Chelsea are going to get a new manager in. He's going to want to revitalise the squad because so much. I think there's a lot of deadwood in this Chelsea side at the moment. So Kante to PSG, definitely a deal that could happen. Aaron Lafont says, I thought the only people going to PSG were FFP. I don't think Kante would be that expensive, to be fair, which is a bit silly because he has been one of the best players in the Premier League for the last sort of 2-3 years running. But I don't think he'd be like 50, 60 mil. I think you could get him for 45 for some reason. I don't know of his contract situation, but, Kante will not do well in PSG. I think he would. I think he'd do well at PSG. Yeah, as Sukesh says, Kante would do great at PSG. Kante would become one of the world's best midfielder in France. Yeah, I mean, he'd tear it up in France, wouldn't he? We've seen the difference in quality from Ligue 1 to the Premier League. Ligue 1's a farmers' league, isn't it? So if Kante went over there, he'd smash it. He'd definitely smash it. George Carr said, I'll take Kante at United. He'd truly unleash Pogba. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm not a big fan of taking players from rival clubs, but that's definitely a deal that would happen, that I'd like to see happen. Like you say, he would most definitely free up Pogba. He's often been sort of called sort of two players in one. He's everywhere on the pitch. So definitely a player I'd like to see at United. Lamia says, big chance for Kante to get more league titles and payday too. Not only that, but hopefully for him, bring PSG further on in the Champions League. I've sort of done this a weird way. I usually like to sort of structure it from page to page, but I've jumped all over the page today. Anyway, final two stories of the day. One, Roma keeper Alisson. We all know him. He's playing for Brazil at the moment. He will be in the World Cup. Highly rated player. Got Roma to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Been linked to Liverpool and a little bit Real Madrid, but the majority to Liverpool a lot. We saw, Roberto Firmino saying that he'd like to see him at Liverpool and that sort of stuff. But his Brazilian goalkeeping coach has come out and said that Alisson is very happy, and I quote, very happy at Roma despite interest from Liverpool. So, I mean, we all know Liverpool need a goalkeeper, don't we? We all know. They're clearly looking in the right direction. They're not gonna start Karius and have Mignolet on the bench next season, because after that Champions League final, it's unforgivable, isn't it? It's unforgivable. But Alisson, I think, is a good keeper. I'd like to see him at Liverpool. I think he'd do very, very well there. But like I said, Brazilian goalkeeping coach has come out and said that he's very, very happy at Roma. So it's looking like that deal might not happen. And if it doesn't happen, Jasper Cillessen is the other player that Liverpool have been linked to goalkeeping-wise. 29 years of age, Dutch, of course, playing for Barcelona. Basically, Cillessen just wants guaranteed first-team game time. He wants guaranteed game time. He's played second fiddle to Ter Stegen for a little while now at Barcelona, and he just wants game time. And I think I'd rather have Alisson than Jasper Cillessen. I would, because I'm Dutch, so I've seen Cillessen play quite a bit. Awful at penalties. I don't know whether this is the case anymore, but I don't actually think Cillessen has saved a penalty in his whole career. That might have changed now by one or two penalties, but it was at one point Cillessen had never saved a penalty. So fair to say, if Liverpool are in a cup or something and it goes to penalties, you're in trouble with Cillessen. But he's a decent player, isn't he, Cillessen? He's not set the world alight at Barcelona, Ter Stegen taking that sort of mantelpiece, but he's a decent player, and anything's better than Karius and Mignolet at this point, isn't it? What do you guys think? Get in the comments. We've only been live. Well, we've been live for about 26 minutes now, so we are going to be wrapping up the show very, very soon. Not many of you watching, to be fair, which is disappointing, of course. But that's the way it is. And for everyone that is watching, I massively appreciate you being here. Jared says, if Kante is available under 80 million, we should buy him. Yeah, like I said before, I'd definitely like to see him at United. I want Brent Leno at Leverkusen or Timo Horn at Cologne. Yeah, I think Leno's a good keeper. I haven't seen too many links for him with him to Liverpool, but he's a good player nonetheless. Lads, I'm sorry if I've been a bit off today. Not necessarily off, but just not my natural enthusiasm, not my natural interaction with the comments. Like I said, I haven't slept. I'm running on, I had a nap earlier today, so I'm on about 2 hours sleep. I didn't sleep last night at all. I actually got really inspired last night at about 1:32 a.m. So I started filming and editing a video about VAR to potentially go on this channel and just see how it went. But like I said, it was at like 2:30 a.m. So I felt like myself. I wasn't at my natural enthusiasm in the actual recording. So sort of sacked that idea off. But I did sort of just continue pursuing that video until like 6 a.m. So I hadn't slept at all. How do you feel if Manchester United are not going to make any more signings? If United didn't make any more signings, I'd be worried. I would be worried. I feel like United need a left back. We won't get one. Alexandre will stay at Juve. I'm pretty convinced. I think he'll play Ashley Young next season at left back. I think we need a right winger as well, and preferably a centre back. I'd absolutely love Alderweireld. I really would love Alderweireld. I mean, Mark was sort of saying that 75 mil for Alderweireld would be sort of United getting mugged off, but I'd take Alderweireld for anything. I would take, not for anything, but 75 mil I'd pay for Alderweireld. I know he's had serious, injury problems and not being able to stay fit for too long, but he's one of the best centre-backs in the league on his day when he can stay fit, and he'd seriously help United in winning the league, or challenging for it at least. Matthew, no, it was, he says, imagine giving birth to a child only to realise that 17 years later they got inspired to make a video, assistant referee video at 2 a.m. Basically, it was, the premise of the video was like, when the World Cup's coming up and VAR is a big talking point of that, and I sort of wanted to make like a little, like, not just like a sitting down video like this, like a proper edited and like really like, it was cool, but I just wasn't at my natural enthusiasm. Mbappe swapped for Martial plus 100 mils. We're not playing FIFA. Anyway, thanks for everyone that is watching. We have got 210 people watching now, but I have got to wrap up the show. We have been live for about half an hour. The United stands are going live any minute now, in about 1 or 2 minutes' time, with a Skype show. So if you are a United fan or just a general fan of football and you want to talk about United over there, then do head over to the United stand for the Skype show in about 1 or 2 minutes' time. So thanks, everyone, for joining me. I'll see you here, same time, same place. As always, different shirts. Appreciate everyone that has joined this stream today. And like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. So much World Cup content coming up between me and Mark. We've got a World Cup preview, like a big, long World Cup preview coming up either tomorrow or the day after, which is me and Mark combined together. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining me, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, lads. Cheers, lads. Cheers, lads. Cheers, lads.